we really should zoom out a little bit on the season so far for the Toronto Raptors. They have a winning record. They're playing really good basketball. They are exceeding expectations on the court, and they are doing all of it while dealing with some very key and lengthy injuries to the team. And I must say, that is, considering where the Raptors were expected to be the start of the season, extraordinarily remarkable. We talked about at the start of the season like what heights the Raptors could reach. I felt like this was a play-in team that would make the playoffs through the play-in tournament. I thought it would be the 7 or 8 seed, and obviously that could still happen. You know, it's very, very tight in the Eastern Conference standings right now. But I thought like it would take a really upper percentile season, if that's the right way to describe it, for the Raptors to achieve a top 6 seed and be a solidified playoff team. Now, they've firmly established themselves as a threat to do just that. They are currently, at the time that we're doing this stream here today, they are currently 27-19. They're playing the Portland Trail Blazers tonight. They are the 4 seed in the East. They are 1.5 games out of the 2 seed Boston Celtics, but they are also just 3.5 games up on the 8 seed Miami Heat. Top 8 is where I want to be if I'm a Raptors fan for the end of the season. I mean, top 6 is where I want to be. Start of the season, I would have accepted a top 8 seed. Now, though, I'd kind of feel a little bit disappointed if that was the case. And what's so astonishing about this season is that we felt like, you know, the starting 5 was quality for the Raptors. There was a large amount of players who could become contributors off the bench, but didn't really feel like it was a top-heavy bench. There have been some, I think what's been big and what has allowed the Raptors to do is some of the higher-level play from the people at the top of their bench, because we felt like this team was like a couple injuries away from the wheels just like completely falling off the wagon, but that hasn't materialized for the Raptors. Like Jakob Poeltl, who has been so vital to winning over the last years. Like the Raptors' win-loss record shifted around 20%. There's a 20% change in the amount of games the Raptors won when Jakob Poeltl was in versus out since he rejoined the Raptors heading into the season. They had about a 44% win percentage with him and about 22% without him. Now, part of that, obviously, is the fact that the Raptors don't have, like, a backup for him. So if Jakob Poeltl's out, you don't have a 7-footer on the team. And that makes it matter quite a bit more because, like, if Emmanuel Quickly goes out, at least you have Jamal Shea you can bring in. If Jakob Poeltl's out, you don't really have that direct sort of replacement for the player. So on top of him being very valuable going into the season, the Raptors didn't really have a backup for him. So it always felt like a couple injuries would have had serious ramifications towards the team. But for Jakob Poeltl, he's only played in 21 of the Raptors' games this season out of the 46 so far. And in those 21 games, he hasn't even been that great because I don't think he's been healthy at all for those 21 games. I don't think at any point he was like even close to 100%. He's been dealing with the back issue. He's been out for a long time. And unfortunately, like, there's just like no update here. 2 weeks ago, he was cleared for contact, or supposed to be, and then it didn't happen. And then Darko is essentially saying now that, like, hopefully he's back sooner than later. There is no real update at this point. He's going through workouts. He started to non-contact all of that. But, like, we're still, like, a lack of information about his health status. And on top of that, we've had RJ Barrett miss a bunch of games, and we've seen how vital he has been for the Raptors this season. RJ Barrett has played in only 23 of the Raptors games so far. And RJ Barrett has been fantastic for the Raptors this season. Absolutely fantastic for the team this season. Almost 20 points per game, doing so efficiently, playing like a real role. Shooting volume has gone down over 2 attempts per game. He's been important. He has been a player that has helped the Raptors win games this season, and he hasn't even played, or I guess he's played in exactly half of the game so far this season. Great news that he's supposed to be back for tonight's game against the Portland Trail Blazers, but he's missed time. Jakob Poeltl's missed significant time. And when he hasn't missed time, he hasn't been healthy. All of these injuries have been piling up for the team, yet still they are the 4 seed. Yet still they are 27-19. And I think a major reason why they've been able to go through this stretch as is because, well, first of all, the bench play. I said it a bit earlier, like, it didn't feel like a top-heavy bench. It just felt like it was like a lot of players who can contribute. Well, it has turned into a top-heavy bench because of how well some of the top guys in the bench are playing. Sandro Mamukelashvili is like a classic Raptors taking a chance on a cheap contract, a guy who's shown flashes as a shooter in the past. Can he continue to do that? Can he even scale that up after he joins the team? They've bet on guys like, Juancho Hernan-Gomez to do that. They've bet on guys like Yuta Watanabe to do that. They didn't do it. But Mamu has come in and been spectacular. He's been a fantastic shooter. He's contributed on both ends of the floor. But what a nice punch of offense off the bench. And nice to have a backup center. He's undersized, doesn't, fit the void of a Poeltl injury. But what tremendous minutes the Raptors are getting out of him. Jamal Shead has grown so much to point guard over the offseason, become a much more established part of the rotation. He looks much more comfortable on the floor, much more poised on the floor. We already knew how good his defense was. That even maybe stepped up. And he's turning into more of a threat on offense. Colin Murray-Boyle's a 9th overall pick. The Raptors thought that this was a player for the future, a player that they wanted to develop. It seemed to me like it was a player that would have needed time to adjust to the NBA. I mean, it took him less than 10 games, I think, to adjust to the NBA because he has been terrific. But even he's missed some games. We've had, good health for, Barnes has missed, I think, a couple. Ingram's missed a few. Quickly's missed, I think, 2. We've had, a lot of injury luck for the 2 top guys, Ingram and Barnes. But we have really been hit with a bit of the injury bug and still been able to produce high levels of basketball on the court to a consistent degree. There was that one pocket of the season where they lost a bunch of games in succession. RJ's first injury where, things are bleak. Other than that, there was a 1-4 start. There was that one pocket where they lost a bunch of games when RJ Barrett was out. And other than that, they have just been awesome all season. So I think it is important to kind of zoom out and appreciate that because a healthy Raptors team probably wasn't really expected to be in this position right now, let alone one that hasn't been healthy like they have been. But, we're getting guys back, hopefully. Hopefully Poeltl will come back. I mean, there could be moves for the Raptors towards the trade deadline. We have to pray, look, at least if there's been injury, it hasn't been to guys like Scotty Barnes or Brandon Ingram to a lengthy degree. If that were to happen, I don't know if we can maintain levels like this, but you give a lot of credit to the team, a lot of credit to the coaching staff for integrating these usual bench players into the starting 5 and then having some of them step up and playing so well. Even with a lack of depth right now, they still are finding ways to win games as they have done all season. They are absolutely finding ways to win games. So I'm wondering if this kind of shifts the approach for the season. They see an Eastern Conference potentially for the taking. Will this make the Raptors even more aggressive? I think the Raptors, to answer that, would have always expected to be at least in a playoff mix, at least in a play-in mix. And I think at that point, they would always be looking to try and be pretty aggressive towards the trade deadline. So I don't think this 4 seed is really changing how they're planning on attacking the trade deadline compared to their an 8 or 9 seed. Now, if they were completely awful this season and were outside the play-in spots, maybe they would approach it differently and think okay, we need to tank, we need to sell off some guys, get expiring contracts, whatever. But I don't think this is necessarily making them think they can be competitive. They need to make a big trade. I think they were looking to make a competitive trade regardless, but 27-19. I know it's easy to get upset about certain games, certain performances, but again, I continue to say it. Sit back and appreciate what the Raptors have accomplished so far this season, and hopefully they can continue to accomplish it the rest of the way, finish the top 6 seed in this, turning into decently competitive Eastern Conference.